The Hangout on Air is live. Okay, we're live. Good morning, welcome, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Good morning.
Everybody get up and stretch, take a deep breath, flex your muscles, get us awake and alive and ready for something exciting. Even my dog Ralphie is excited. Come here, buddy. Nope, he's running away. He's running away. He's like, nah, I'm not into this financial stuff. I just want a treat.
I like that picture of your dogs in the car with the seatbelts.
We safety first.
Oh, yeah. Penny has a seatbelt.
We actually, it's funny because some people asked me about what we had, set up for them, if like what kind of product we use, because there are like seatbelt type apparatuses you can buy for your pets, and the truth is, what we have is much simpler than that. They all have harnesses because we don't like the standard like leash on the collar because it chokes them if you're walking them and trying to pull. So and I know millions of people do that because they either don't know better or just don't think about it or don't care, but we do. So they have regular harnesses, and the harness has a little strap that goes along their back, so we just run the seatbelt through that.
All right.
Huh. And it holds them perfectly well in place.
Yeah, we decided, well, we love Penny, but more importantly, if we get into an accident, I don't need a 50-pound, critter coming through the back of our head. Missile, that's the word I was looking for.
A missile. I like critter better.
Critter. No, there are babies.
All right, I think we're going to probably need to help some people get in here, so good old Google Plus.
Yeah.
Mike, how did you end up getting in? Did you use the link I emailed you, or did you actually get the invite?
I actually used the link that you emailed me about 7:45 this morning. The other link sent me to, I don't know, I couldn't get in. It asked me to ask you for more information.
Well, that was once I got your profile, or I saw that you had replied to the event, I was able to put you in our circles. I think without you being in our circles, the link doesn't work. So that's probably what happened. And there's lots of Mike Belens out there, apparently.
Well, we're popular. They make a bunch of us.
Yeah. How are you?
There's not that many Seth Davids out there. I noticed there are a few. Which surprised me, because there's not a lot of people with the last name David at all. But there is. I connected to a Seth David on LinkedIn just because we had the same name. So I was like, okay,
right,
let's try it. Let's see if we're alike.
Did he respond?
He did, actually. He did. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I don't remember getting the sense that he was somebody I really cared to carry on with, if you know what I mean.
So you're not alike.
I was like, you know what, can you change your name? Because I think you're giving me a bad name.
Oh, no.
Will the real Seth David please stand up?
I'm not Seth. I'm not Seth. That is actually brilliant, that little tagline.
Which?
I'm not
Seth David?
I love that.
Yeah, that was
so
funny.
catchy. I mean, anything that you can remember easily, that's just...
Well, it was one of those things that sort of came out by accident, because Eric was making the graphic for Abbo, the original graphic that he made, and he was like, okay, everybody knows who Seth David is, but he was kind of like, who am I? I'm not Seth David. So, and then it was like, we realized it was like, that's actually kind of funny, catchy, and then he bought NotSethDavid.com.
Yep. Yeah. That's great.
But it looks like Gina's having trouble.
I wonder where Gina is. She wasn't on the Hangout yesterday either.
I know. Oh, that's true.
No, it in. She might be in the thick of it.
It is a busy time. I really debated this morning. I was like, well, but I knew that if I started watching, I'd want to be in it.
You know what? I debated too. I was like, I'm not sure about this whole Friday morning hangout thing. It's kind of early.
It is early. That's your. Hey, not for me though.
No, not for you.
No, I start getting hungry.
It looks like through your window it's beautiful there. What's going on? Sunny
It's
74 or what?
Until you open the door and it's 22.
Oh, goodness.
Oh.
It's wrong. It's just wrong. It's supposed to be gorgeous 70s by now.
It's deceiving. It's like nature is false advertising through your window.
I know, and because I work next to the house, I don't get out much. When I do, it's like I forget, you know. But when the dog goes to the door and then turns around, and I go, "You want your sweater?" and she sticks her neck out. You know it.
So
Fur coat.
I'm hesitating to broach this topic this morning, but I'm going to because you know me, I don't generally pull any punches, and I don't usually fear things like this.
You're afraid?
But the topic keeps coming up. It has come up since the day I started the ABO group, before it was a schoolofbookkeeping.com thing. And that topic is what we were kind of discussing late last night in the ABO group on Facebook. For those of you who don't know, well, everybody here, Mike may not know, it's accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
This whole idea of EAs versus CPAs.
Oh, yeah.
Stay out of that fight.
I was curious about it myself. I'm going to write a blog post on the topic. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to frame it yet. Of course, me being me, it'll probably be something like, can my CPA beat up your EA or vice versa?
Oh, you...
But I was just curious, so I did some Google searches on to see how others might compare it, and I found an interesting write-up on a website. I think it was a Fox News site actually, where they apparently did something kind of helping people decide which do I need. Do I need an EA or a CPA? Why would I need one or the other to help me with the taxes? And so that's what I'm going to ultimately kind of write up, is, you know, my take on that kind of answer is, why would I need one versus the other, or why would one suit me in one situation better than the other, and so on. I already learned some interesting stuff, so Google it, you know, do your own research for now until I come up with the blog post. But, you know, I will say this, regardless of whether or not one serves one purpose better than, you know, another, the bottom line is I think we all need to have respect for both. You know, obviously, both have to work hard for their designations. Both have to work hard to get those letters after their name, and in both cases they represent, you know, something that is valuable and something that both should be proud of. And I think the minute that we ever get into anything like, oh, CPAs are this or EAs are that, that's just, I'm sorry, but that's just stupid. That's stupid. You know, to sit there and poke fun at a designation, or to put a designation down, saying that these guys don't know taxes. I mean, come on, you know. And I've known a number of people on both sides of that fence who have sort of pointed their finger at the other and said, well, they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know what they're, you know, and I'm sorry, it's just stupid, and it needs to stop. So, you know, I'm just putting it out there. If I see that kind of dialogue going on in our group, I'm going to stop it. You know, Eric and I both. We'll just start banning people if we see somebody making blanket statements saying CPAs do this, or Billy Ann wants me to do it the other way around. She wants me to say my EA can beat up your CPA. Okay. Billy Ann, you're going to have to unmute and chime in on that.
I've seen. I mean, I'm a CPA, and I've seen the EA test, and it's very difficult. And most EAs I know are very well qualified with taxes because they are a lot more focused on their CPA. And so I would say that, you know, to me, CPAs do a lot better job of marketing their credential. EAs are terrible at marketing their credential. But every EA I've known, I've gone to Gear Up classes where they've been taught by EAs, and I've been extremely impressed by their knowledge. And I worked with the EA a couple of years ago, and he's more knowledgeable than I am. But again, CPAs do a much better job of marketing their credential. But the CPA exam is a lot more broad in scope, and so you have to have you're not as focused, but as a practical matter, most CPAs focus on taxes because they don't want to get sued for doing audits.
Yeah, it's where the money is, yeah.
So
well, that's just it. I mean, obviously, if a CPA specializes in taxes and they make that choice, then I'm sure that CPA is going to be amazing at doing people's taxes. I mean, the guy that does my taxes is a CPA. He's a vice president of taxation with a very large CPA firm. I would trust no one else with my taxes. I don't care about the letters after his name as much as I care about the fact that I know this guy well enough and have enough experience with him to know that I don't trust anybody else as much as I trust him with knowledge. In fact, there was a point when I took it away from him and I brought it to somebody else. And I'm not going to say which side they were on because I don't want to sway one way or the other here for the purposes of this conversation. But I'll tell you this, that one of the professionals I went to after him, and I came back to him, and he was very understanding. The guy's like a father to me. And I left him because it was very expensive to get my taxes done with him. And I didn't feel that my taxes were that complicated, and it wasn't like he could, you know, he works at a big firm. He can't really control pricing. So I told him a number of years back, hey, nothing personal. I'm just, I'm spending too much money on getting my taxes done. He says, no, go ahead. I don't blame you one bit. So I went to, after him, I went to another person, and then after that, still another person. And that last person, before I went back to him, because I realized, okay, it's worth spending the extra money. Now I've gone and experienced what I needed to. The last person I went to before him almost caused me to spend money filing an amended return to pay more taxes based on an error and a misinterpretation of my tax situation. And that was when I said, okay, I'm going back to Barry. His name Barry, obviously. That's why I call him Barry. Funny how that works. I said I'm going back to Barry, and until Barry retires, I'm not letting anybody else touch my taxes ever again, period.
I have plenty of auditor friends who say, don't ask me a tax question. You know, it's like people know I'm an accountant, and they'll start asking me tax questions, and it's where you focus your career. So you can't rely on any. Well, it's like ProAdvisor. You know, I mean, so any industry really, you just have to do your due diligence, and to just label somebody that label a designation as something or something else is just, you know.
I think about the most accurate thing you can say is that the EA is a lot more focused on taxes in the exam, and so you would expect if they're an EA, they're probably competent in at least the 1040s. I'm not sure about the...
Well, but let's be clear. Yes, the EA by definition almost has to be a lot, quote-unquote, more focused on taxes, but I'm sure there are lots of CPAs out there who are equally focused on taxes because they've chosen to be so.
Exactly. That's all their CPA is. I mean, but you can't necessarily tell it by the designation.
You can't go by the letters. You have to go by the individual, right? Because there are probably some EAs out there, no offense, Billy, but there are probably some EAs out there who are supposed to be solely focused on taxes who just aren't that good. Maybe they're not that experienced yet. Who knows? And just like there is some... There's just like there are some brilliant CPAs, and there are some CPAs who I'm like, how did you ever pass the exam? You know, that I've met. So the reality is you cannot blanket the whole designation and say, they all are this or they all are that. That's where I will be the first one to go out there and say, I'm sorry, but this is just stupid.
Exactly.
You know, whenever you say
90s, trust me.
Whenever you make a blanket statement about an entire group of people, you're stupid. I'm sorry, but that's just a universal truth. You can't make a blanket statement about a whole group of people. You have to look individual by individual, and that's my spiritual rant for the day, and that's my practical rant for the day. Is that you know, just like people in any group where you can subdivide people, you got to go individual by individual. And that was the point I was trying to make last night when we were all commenting about this. Is I don't really care if the letters after your name are EA, CPA, or PITA, and we all know what that stands for. But as long as you're
that stands for.
As long as you exercise courtesy, kindness, justice, and love, then you're welcome in my world. You know, that's all that I care.
Haven't seen Bruce in months. Too bad he wasn't here. We could ask him.
Oh boy, don't get him going.
Yeah. So anyway, on that note, before we get into the main event for today, I want to welcome Lior, who is joining us, I think, for the first time. Some of you may have heard we announced recently another course that we're coming out with at schoolofbookkeeping.com is on Lior's product. It's called CogniView. Lior, I'm going to give you like 60 seconds because we're going to obviously have you on your own hangout soon, but just give us the 60-second high-level sort of pitch on what your company is and what your product's about.
Oh, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, because I don't For some reason, the camera isn't working. So, Cognitive View, we've been around for 10 years. We developed a professional PDF to Excel converter. Basically, anything you need in order to convert either structured data, like inventory lists, parts lists, financial statements, those kind of things, or unstructured data, like forms, invoices, that you need to analyze in Excel. Have well over 40,000 customers, millions of users, and right now we basically relocated to the U.S. and we're trying to expand and reach out to people.
Beautiful, thank you. So looking forward to getting that course up on School of Bookkeeping. But today we're focused on a product that's actually 2 courses out. We should be going live with Expensify next week, and then shortly after that we're going to be going live with our course on Finagraph. And I have to tell you, we had James Walter, who's the CEO of Finagraph, on our Hangout a while back. And I remember being very impressed with the product then, but Mike and I had a call last week in which Mike walked me through. I always do this with the developers to make sure I'm up to speed on the latest and greatest features and what's going on with the product. Mike walked me through, and I don't remember, compared to the last time I saw it, if there's much that's changed or not. I can tell you this, I was completely blown away when I saw this, and I was like, I'm so thankful that we're doing this course on this product, because I'm going to give Mike the floor in about 30 seconds, but this product, what it can do, and the kind of intelligence that it can deliver to you or your clients in minutes once it's all connected, and that part, once it's all connected, isn't really hard, I promise you that. It's amazing what this thing can do. So with that, I'm going to give the floor to Mike. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time out. Start off by letting everybody know who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and then let's take a look at the product. I'll have you share your screen.
Well, welcome everyone. It's Friday morning and we're hanging out, right? So thank you, Seth. And really, I had the opportunity to sit back after our 45 minutes, or I guess it was over an hour, wasn't it, that you and I spent together?
Yeah, a little over an hour.
Yeah, and really reflect on what you were saying and how to speak to your audience. I mean, first of all, my name is Mike Milan, and I'm the Senior Vice President, and I run sales and marketing for Finagraph. Work very closely with James Walter every day. So basically what we do, and I want to put it in simple terms right up front. I mean, if you've heard of Carfax, think of Finagraph as a Carfax for a small business, meaning that after a press of a button, we're going to connect to your software system, either QuickBooks or Xero. We got several others in the development queue right now. We've also been able to put together some integrations that go all the way from the business owner through the back end of the bank. So I mean, we're really doing some integration of data where there's no typing, but there's more time to analyze what's happening. So what we've done is built a platform that not only goes back and looks at what's happening in your customers' business, but highlights some areas that you can maybe impact them in a positive way and put them either back in line where we found hidden cash just below the surface of the financial statements, and giving them some practical guidance, setting you up to be that trusted advisor so you can give them a specific action plan to go capture that cash. So we're about making more money, Seth. That's what we do.
I like that. I love that's a song I like to sing. Let's make more money. So before we have Mike share his screen, and I'm sorry, I guess I was mispronouncing your name. It's Milan. I was saying Milan. I was putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Well, there you go. And we're Midwest. That's why it happens. We're not European, maybe like Lior is. So I'm not as fancy, I guess.
Got it. So with that, has anybody here on the live panel tried Finagraph, experience with Finagraph? I'm just curious before we get into the demo if we have any experienced users. So Mariette is mute, but in the chat she says yes. And Lior says European, I wish. But wait, Lior, aren't you from, if I may say so, aren't you from Israel?
Yeah, but that would be more like, Middle East.
That's Middle East, right. That's not
Europe. Africa.
But that's still exotic. That's still more exotic than Midwest America.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So, all right, enough. We'll stop embarrassing people for today. All right, good. So, Mike, do you want to share your screen? And I'll click on your thumbnail to make you prominent.
You may have to.
And then just move your mouse over top left. You'll see a little green icon that looks like a screen with a curvy right-pointing arrow in it. Click on that, and then share your screen.
Got it. Okay.
And then when you're ready to turn that off, just click on the same thing again later on.
Okay, I've got it. All right, well, and you can see it. We can see Finagraph now.
Yep, it looks gorgeous.
Great. Hey, that's what we're here to do. We're here to look pretty. Well, and give you the tool to actually make some money. So one of the things that you just pointed out, Seth, and one of the things that people say, what's the reason why you compete very well in the marketplace for dashboards? And it's the simplicity, right? I mean, I hear about people interacting with competing products, and the setup is hard, the mapping is hard. There's a lot of robust parts that are happening. We have tried to condense everything to that either one click or just a couple pieces of information that you type in. So let's just, if we're ready, let's just sign in and show you how easy it is. We'll set up our first company, do an import, and see what happens. Okay? All right, so hopefully my internet connection is good here. I'm working from the home office today because you got me up so early, Seth.
Sorry, I do that. Everybody complains, but then they always come back later and say, you know what, I got so much more done that day because I was up early.
Well, that's true, and but Dennis knows what the traffic's like in the morning in Seattle.
Well, that's why you got to work from home. That's my other thing.
Got it. Okay, so
I don't hit, the only traffic I hit are the little furry ones walking around on the floor in between my bedroom and my office.
I've got a few of those too. So, all right. So what you're seeing now is just a dashboard. So imagine that this is your portfolio of your clients that you're working with. A dashboard is just a place for you to go back to and do quick items or find the company that you're working with. But let's pretend that you're working with a company that you haven't done any analysis for before, or maybe you've got a Surface or an iPad or your laptop and you're with a prospect and you want to show them kind of the power of the new tool that you've got. So what we're going to do is add a new business, and this is always the most painful part of any new software system is adding a new business. And if you notice, I'm just going to click a button, and there it is. There is the most difficult screen in our entire product. Is right here in front of us.
And overwhelming it is. Look at all these things there are to do.
Right. There's three little boxes to fill in. It is overwhelming, but that's the hallmark of our company. We want you to have very few, just not get confused by the product features. We want it to be interactive, but intuitive as well, which means just do these few little items and you're ready to go. So Seth, let's create a company for you again. What do you like to do?
Well, it's Seth David Incorporated.
All right, so Seth David Incorporated. There you go.
I need to incorporate my name like that so that the other Seth David can't.
That's right. Give me a zip code.
Zip is 91506. That's one of the Burbank zip codes here. Billy Ann says trademark it. I think I will. The question is, what would I do with it? Now, what do I like to do? I'm an educator. I like to teach software. So I don't know if you have a NAICS code for that. But while Mike's doing this, I want to stress the importance of NAICS codes with this. Anybody, our EAs in the group, will know what a NAICS code is because it's inherent in filing a tax return. You have to choose a code that basically lets, in this case, the software know what industry you're in. And these codes go on your tax returns, and most of us don't know anything about them unless we've actually ever filed a tax return. But in this context, it's really important to choose one that most closely represents your business, because this way you will get comparative data. So you'll be able to see how your company is doing in comparison to the industry for businesses based on your zip code that are in your area. Is that about right, Mike?
That's exactly right. And those three pieces of information is basically what we're trying to do. We're trying to place you in a geographic area because we're going to start looking there, right? We're going to look in your industry band. When we do the link to the accounting software system, we're going to know how much revenue you have, so we're going to place you in the right revenue band category, then the industry, then the geography. So we're going to start looking in 91506 for people that are for other companies that operate with one of the NAICS codes. Like I just typed in instruction. So you've got a keyword of anything, right? We've got instruction. We could say construction. It doesn't matter. You start typing in keywords. We're going to guide you on the way to finding the right NAICS code. Again, it is on the tax return if you already have it there. But in case you don't, and maybe this is a new company you're working with, you can always find it with keywords. Or we do have a search tool. One of the things that Seth, when you and I talked, you didn't realize that that's what this was. So it's actually our question mark right next to the NAICS box is the search tool, where you start at the highest level of an industry and you can work down to more granular. We'll say in retail trade, down to food and beverage stores, and it works its way down to the type of company that you're currently working with. We'll say convenience stores. And once you get to this part, and you want to know what the definition is, or you want to check on it, a definition at any level, you click on the link or the little details button, and we're going to take it to the actual definition on the census page, where they're going to give you examples of what type of companies operate underneath this NAICS code. So
that's fantastic, because that's the website I usually go to, but it's all built in.
Yeah, and Mariette has posted also the link in the chat to NAICS.com, which is /search, which is another place you can go. But I think Mike and I went over this when we did our session, and I haven't taken a close look at the NAICS.com site, but I really like the way the Census Bureau lays it out, and it makes it easy to search for. And another point is, and it's funny because normally I'm one that clicks on everything in a product because I just want to know what does everything do. I'm like a little kid playing with a toy. What does this do? What does that do? And initially I overlooked the question mark because I thought it was just a help thing that was going to tell me what a NAICS code was. So it's important to realize that there's a lot more behind that little question mark than just something explaining what the NAICS code is.
To look up.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you start typing like 5412, does it automatically? No.
Will it search by code?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. If you start typing in a typical NAICS or a typical just keyword, we're gonna give you some examples, right? And one of the things that we looked at, Seth, is in this 512 or 541211. Let's see. Let me get back out of there.
So if you have a 7-Eleven client, this is your NAICS code. By the way, Mike, Dennis is asking in the chat, where are you getting your benchmarks? Is it just your clients, or is it a larger data set? In other words, I don't assume you have access to like the IRS's data for these NAICS codes.
No, I mean, originally when we built the product, we used RMA data, but it just wasn't dynamic enough, right? It wasn't updated more as frequently as we like. So now we've aggregated 3 different data sources. Of course, we've got our own. Everything is anonymized. Like you can call any company anything, but we anonymize the data as it comes in anyway. But then we use the same database that Sage does in the Profit Sense. We license the same data there, and we also have BizMiner is one of our licensing products.
Beautiful. All right, so let's just keep it simple, and for the NAICS code, for the purposes of today's demo, let's just do the accounting services or something, since that's what most of us here do anyway. Or
okay,
tax.
We can do that, or we can use. We actually have a sample one that pops out a lot of the features.
Beautiful.
So we can do that. That way, I know a lot of the features that I want to show you will show up. A couple of different things you can do after that. If you press save, we're going to take you back to the dashboard.
Okay.
And then you've got. Go ahead.
By the way, Eric's joining us, and I know that Eric is wondering, so I'll ask the question, Mike. We all want to know how we can get Finagraph T-shirts.
We like swag.
Yeah, just shoot me an email, ask for it, and give me an email address or give me an address, and we'll send them out.
All right, perfect.
Looks good, though, right? I mean, you guys probably will make it look better than I do, but but thanks, and we'll get them sent out. Just send me an email with your address.
That all depends if it's being worn by an EA or a CPA. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about an MBA? I don't have any of the other two. I've just got the MBA.
All right.
Hey, Mike, did you say that depending on which, whatever the net code you pick, you see different features?
No. I mean, I said I was going to use the sample code because I know the features I want to show you in the product will pop out. So again, it's gonna take our sample data, and what I'm doing is I'm just running a sample company QuickBooks on my computer. So when I do an import, I want to make sure that the features pop out so I can show you what to look for in your product and your customers. All right, so back to the dashboard, and what we got is Seth David Inc. And you can do 2 things, right? We give you 2 choices. Do you want to add other users, or do you want to just do your analysis? If you already have access to, we'll say, the QuickBooks file, you can just do the analysis and have it done right there without adding more users. But on occasion, there are other people either in your firm or in your client's company that may want to give access to the analysis. So in this case, we got the CPA firm, which would be your company. So if Seth was working for me, and Chris was working for me, Seth and I would be listed as firm users down below. That means we can have access to multiple companies within the subscription. Now, if you add people to Seth David Inc., which is the company that we're analyzing, they can only see the one company, just the company that they're added to be analyzed. Does that make sense? Seth, I know we went through that, and I mean that's a good distinction of the multiple levels of permission that we can give.
Yes, yeah, that was it was helpful when we went through this to see. So, and just to clarify, in case it wasn't clear enough already, the CPA firm users are going to cost you. The other users are not.
That's right. So I mean, if we were to add one to the CPA users, the only time that we start to charge is if you give either one of two permission levels. You can have an unlimited amount of read-only users at no cost, right? Just give people access to log in and see the analysis that you've done. But if you want to actually upload data into the system or add and remove users, that's the difference between write and admin. Then those are the users license that you're paying for. And we kind of describe what those are in the little button. And you notice there's what we call hover help, and this is built throughout the entire product. So if you don't know what something is, just hover over the top of it, and we're going to give you more information about what that is and what it means and how to use it. Okay, so to add a user, you basically just send them an email, and then the email walks them through the steps of setting up their password and being able to log them in so they can see the analysis that you've done, or to be able to add a business and do their own analysis. Okay, so if we were to send Seth an email right now and ask him to do an upload of information, this is the screen that the email would direct him to. It says, hey, we don't have any information about Seth David Inc. It's time to get your first Finagraph. So if you notice, we only give you one choice of buttons to use it. Hey, just press the one button. So it's new Finagraph, and then we're going to choose the accounting software system. So before I hit the link to Finagraph, this is where all the magic happens. I want to reiterate, we've typed in 3 pieces of information, just the name, just the zip code, and found the NICS code. If we needed a user, we added it. We're going to select an accounting system, and we work with all versions of desktop from 2008 to 2015 now. We work with QuickBooks Online, and then we also work with Xero. The beta tag is still on it, but we've almost got enough real-life use cases now to remove that. I just talked with the architect last week. We were on a call with a big top 4 accounting system accounting company, and they're really excited about the beta coming off of that. So we're almost ready to take that off.
Right. By the way, Mike, just in case, if you move your mouse over the top, do you see an option that says "Present to Everyone"?
Over the top, I don't see that.
All right. I think that's only something I need to do as the host when I'm sharing, but I just want to make sure. So, all right, we're probably fine. Sorry for that interruption.
That's okay. Well, I mean, can people not see? Is that?
Does anybody? Well, when you're presenting to everyone, it kind of hides the thumbnails of all of us at the bottom, which is better later on in the recording and the replay.
Yeah. Right now, I can't see the thumbnails of people. I can only see my screen.
All right, perfect. Then that means we've got it the way we want it. That's perfect. Just making sure.
Okay. So after we selected the accounting system, if you notice, I've selected QuickBooks Desktop, and that's what I'm running on this computer. I'm using a Premiere 12 right now, and we click Link to Finagraph. Now, the first time you connect to any of the desktop versions, and I'm sure everyone on the call is aware of this, you're going to get the security certificate that says, hey, do you want to allow a third-party vendor to connect with your QuickBooks file? You don't have this feature in the online version of QuickBooks, but you do have it in the desktop version, so you need to be aware that you will have to give us permission the first time that we connect. Then link to Finagraph. This is where the flying car, where people say, hey, man, it takes me 2 hours to do this type of analysis. All you did was click one button, link to Finagraph. And then subsequent snapshots. We're taking our first snapshot right now, but subsequent snapshots, all the steps we just went through won't need to be, completed. Just click the new Finagraph button, and you'll upload the new information. And it's a static snapshot, right? It means no matter how many changes have taken place in the QuickBooks file in between snapshots, you're going to get a picture of what it looked like at that point in time. So some people find that really useful to go back and find errors that have been made in the meantime. What you should be seeing is 3 boxes across the back, and this is showing you our progress bar. You remember the old status bars where it says 10%, 40%? We tried to make it more visually appealing. What I normally tell people is click the button, go get a cup of coffee, come on back, and your analysis will be done. But this first box is determined by the speed of your computer and the size of the QuickBooks file, how long it takes us to collect the information. The second box is the speed of your internet connection, that we upload everything to the cloud. And then the third box is our processing and preparing of the report and comparing it to the next code. So that's kind of what's going on in the background. It usually takes anywhere from like 40 seconds to a couple of minutes. And Seth, I forgot to put a timer on today. How long do you think it's been so far?
Half an hour.
Oh, half an hour, good.
No, it's been less than 2 minutes.
It's been a half hour.
Since the hangout started, sorry. I thought you wanted to know how much time you had left. Sorry.
No, we were showing the process, how long it takes from the time you connect to the time the Finagraph gets created. And, one thing I want to highlight here is that when you create this Finagraph, it's like creating a report. And once you've got this set up, you're going to be able to create multiple Finagraphs on the same company, and you'll be able to access the history of the previous Finagraph so you can gauge the changes. And that's really important to understand how this works, because it might seem like it's just one living, breathing Finagraph that changes all the time, and I'm sure Mike's going to show us in a second that that's not the case. The case is that every time you connect and create a new Finagraph on the same company, you create an incremental history, if you will, on what things look like. Now we're into the sexy part of this product, so I'm going to shut up and let Mike take it away. And then, Mike, make sure you leave some time at the end. There's people in the chat asking about certifications in Finagraph.
Oh, good. Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's a new program we just launched, about 2-3 weeks ago now. So, but let's talk about the actual Finagraph itself, and this is where people really get excited. We've got the last 5 rolling months, last 4 rolling quarters, last 5 years, and what we've done is taken that bird's eye view and looked at this company through the eyes of a lender or an investor, and we're trying to find out, how it's cash flowing and where the hidden cash opportunities might be. So when you look at this, it seems clean, it's simple, it's right there in front of you, big red flags, big green check marks, but it's deeper than that, and it's deeper than that because you might not know what something means. So if you don't know what something means, just hover over the top of it, and you notice we're going to pop up just more information about it. Like some of your clients may not know what a current ratio is, so we take extra care. My mouse is moving on my page. Wow, extra care to tell them, hey, wait, this is what a current ratio means. This is why you should care about it. If it's flagged because it's low, like this return on assets, we're going to say, hey, these are some possible causes of why the return on assets is low, and some potential solutions. If you notice, these are just kind of generic guidance for solutions, because we want to position you for that advisory services hour, which means, hey, I want to be able to set up a project for this customer that he and I can work on over the next 90 days and recapture some of the cash that's in his company. Now, you guys probably remember back in school, you had to just prove your answers, right? You couldn't just show the results like I've done here on the page, but you got to show your work. So we've done the same thing. If I click on any of the lines, we're going to go a little bit deeper into how we arrived at those numbers, which means here's the formula, here's the numbers that we used, and you're saying, well, where did you get those numbers from? I know you pulled them from from QuickBooks, but are those the right numbers? Great question, because if I click on a date, any date, I'm going to go to the numbers behind the numbers, the raw data behind the numbers, which means I've got a cheat sheet of how we analyze, but here's the stuff that they're used to looking at, right? That balance sheet, that income statement. And if we look at it, it's exactly the same way as it's presented in the QuickBooks file. So the way you label your chart of accounts, if you call it, warehouse, we're going to call it warehouse. So we're pulling information out and mapping it dynamically, so we can do different types of analysis. And in the spring release that's coming out, we're looking at more interactive features where you can do what if we move this long-term debt without making a change in QuickBooks? You can make some changes within Finagraph and do some what-if scenarios with sliders and things like that. That's coming out. Super, really cool features, popping out in the spring release, and everybody that's in now gets grandfathered into the new features. So it's a
Mike,
really
can you
cool
switch
thing.
between cash and accrual basis on these reports and on the Finagraph itself?
We can't switch. We read whatever you've got it in within the QuickBooks file. We're just if you.
Okay,
if
so it's
you're
probably
already
going to
doing
come
it,
in as accrual.
It's going to come in as accrual. There's something about the QuickBooks interaction where they're not pushing things out in cash basis as well. The information.
Well, you can set there's two ways to switch between cash and accrual in QuickBooks. One is in the global preferences where you set cash or accrual as your default.
Right.
The other is report by report. So normally, and I always like to stress this anyway, when you're analyzing a company, and this is my opinion, people are welcome to disagree, but my opinion is that you always want to do the analytics on an accrual basis, because why would I want to analyze a company without looking at the entire picture, which includes my receivables and payables? It wouldn't make sense to me to look at something from this perspective on a cash basis. For most of us, the only reason we even consider cash basis is because for tax filing purposes, we need and want to, in many cases, be on a cash basis because we don't want to pay taxes on income we haven't received. That's really, to me, the only function that cash basis serves in truth. I know it's interesting, though. I did recently do a session with somebody. I'll just rant on this for another 30 seconds. It was actually one of our SOB students in a one-on-one session where her client was somebody who insisted on doing everything on a cash basis, and to that end, he would not write off his receivables. He had receivables on the books, but looked at everything on a cash basis, but he didn't want to write them off, I suspect, because if he writes off his receivables, QuickBooks is going to pick that up as income. Of course, it picks up the bad debt in the same period, and it's a wash, but I guess he didn't see it that way or didn't understand that. So anyway, back to the main point, this is something I would say you'd always want to look at on an accrual basis in any case.
You know what? I can't agree more. I mean, I think I follow the same train of thought, and again, the accrual basis just makes it more realistic, I think. It matches up expenses to revenue very clearly, very concisely. So I would agree with you, Seth. Before I get into the financial impact, because we start playing what-if scenarios and we start talking to business owners in terms of dollars, I want to show you a Finagraph that we've done multiple. Rather than doing another import, I'm going to go to one that has multiple so I can kind of show you what the historical snapshots look like. And before I do that, just showing you that if we hover over any of the information that's flagged, we're going to give you more information about why it's flagged, or if it's a green check mark, we're going to say, hey, listen, you're okay, you're at 55%, and the industry average for this type of company is 36%, so we think that you're okay as far as your gross margin. But let me show you a company that has multiple snapshots already taken so you can see that historical record. If you notice, I clicked rather than return to dash, I just click the email address. That's a second way that you can get back to your dashboard. So you can use the return to dash button, or if anywhere on the page you see your own email name, we're going to take you back to the dashboard by clicking that and that as well. It's kind of one of those little hidden features. If you like to click around, Seth, that's one of the things you probably would have stumbled across.
Right, and also one other thing I want to emphasize, because I'm just kind of glancing at some of the comments in the chat. I think it's important to point out that if you're going to use a product like Finagraph, before you do, make sure the books are cleaned up. Because if I have garbage in there, then this is useless to me. So you'd want to do a pretty thorough review of the balance sheet and the P&L line by line. Make sure you don't have things like negative inventory. Make sure make sure the books are accurate and reliable. Do a review. Clean the books, because otherwise this information doesn't tell you anything. It's not reliable. So I just wanted to make that point.
Right. Okay, so the feature I wanted to show you was this collected on, right? I mean, if you've only taken one Finagraph, this little drop-down arrow won't exist. You won't see that on the page. But if you've taken more than one, like over the history of the company, every quarter or every month, you're going to get a drop-down menu that says, okay, you can go back in time, travel back in time, and see what it looked like at that point in time. Even if they've made changes, and you know how QuickBooks does, it'll go back and change, reports all the way back to whenever that change, can impact. But with us, we want to take that static picture. So it's going back in time where you can see how things look differently. And if they've done some changes in their bookkeeping, you can go back and try to figure out where that is. It will highlight it with either a flag or it will look funny to you, and you'll be able to see where the differences are. So let's take a look at the financial impact of companies now. And again, where business owners really start to listen to you. You know, that percentages are great, you know, ratios are great, but they really start to listen to you when you talk to them about their cash. So I'll look at one. Whoop. That's one we're working on right now. Oops, sorry about that. Where was one? I want to look at one that happened last year. There we go. It was quick shells. Okay, so a couple of different features that I want to point out is, again, the cache. We've got being able to customize flags and do what-if scenarios, and we also got a shareable link. 3 more features I want to kind of show you. In this case, gross margin, this company's doing fantastic. They're doing a lot better than their industry average, but how much better? What we're going to do is say, hey, not only are you better than your competitors, but this is how much more cash you had at the end of the year. You know, you had $382,000. Did you keep it? Well, yeah, it looks like it. You know, this is sample data, but you did outstanding as far as that happens, but there is some opportunity for improvement. We have flagged your inventory because you carry more inventory than everyone else. Yes, you have more cash, but there is an opportunity to grab more cash than you actually have. So in this case, you have 113 days of inventory on your shelf. Everyone else is carrying about 62. That means you've got $72,000 wrapped up on the shelf that you may not need to have. So if we're looking to add more cash to this company, that's one of the places that we can look. But let's play some what-if scenarios, Seth.
I love that, but it's important to note here that the reason you have these quote-unquote industry averages is because you put in the NAICS code. So again, that's why it's really important to choose the NAICS code and choose well.
Yeah, that's right. But I'll tell you, let me play devil's advocate. You know, sometimes I've run across business owners that say, I don't really care what they do at the dry cleaner down the street, or you know what they do in you know at the restaurant across town. What I want to know is, how do I stack up against either my best year or where I want to be, what my goals are? You can actually turn the industry data off if you'd like and set your own goals. So say I want to be at 75% gross margin, or maybe I've got bank covenants that I've been maintaining. I can put in any type of covenants or any type of thresholds that I'm looking for. Some CPAs will use this section as, hey, I know what the bank's lending thresholds are. Before we go through the application process, let's just ask the banker for the answers to the test, put it in there, and when you're ready, we can apply and have the greatest likelihood of being funded.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I mean, so what I've done is just put in 75, and I think there's 80 days here. I've saved it, so we're going to now compare ourselves not to the industry, but to some custom thresholds. Where there used to be a big green check mark next to gross margin, now there's a big red flag because we've set our threshold at 75%. So if I click on that, I'd say, well, wait a second. If we can move it, if we can just go, you know, move our gross margin from 63 to 75, we'd have $164,000 more. So, you know, again, you can instantly, even the first day you meet this customer, start showing him how he can impact his cash and how you can help him do that. Same thing over on the inventory. When we adjusted that from the 65 days down or up to the 80, maybe they can't reduce it down to 65, but they can reduce it to 80. Here's the impact in cash for them. So those are some of the what-if scenarios that you can do. Now, most people like to share the information, Seth, so you know you can print this report out, simply right-click and print.
Right, and Dennis, this goes back to your question from in the chat earlier. You asked about exporting to Excel or sharing with your client, so here it is. I purposely waited because I knew this would come up.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, you can print out just portions of it just by highlighting it and saying I only want to print out a portion of it, or right-clicking and printing, you can print out the whole thing. Or if I just again want to highlight, this was built by Microsofties, so all of this interacts with very well, already formatted for Excel. You just kind of highlight, copy, print, or copy and paste into Excel, Microsoft Word, or PowerPoint.
And it pastes in nice and clean, right?
And nice and clean, right? So, you know, I'll show you how you can just print sections of it. So this is just the portion that I highlighted. Now I can print that portion of it. If we want to just highlight, copy, and paste, I don't have Word open or Excel open, but again, you can do the same thing. I'll see if I can open it up real quick. So, and while that's opening, I'll start talking about some of the interactive features of the charting abilities. Again, all of these charts you can download into other reports. So if you're building some type of board presentation and you just want portions of this report, again, you can download them out. Now, one of the interesting features is this SVG vector image. You're like, oh, I have no idea what that is. Well, that's what makes it interactive. So in this case, I want to turn things on and off. See how we can just manipulate the chart on the fly? That's called an SVG vector image, and it allows us to look at data differently in real time, such as in this large chart, if we want to recalculate something.
I love the open invoice one. This is so cool because, as you can see, like, let's get rid of Potter's Planting. Obviously, they're a big client that may be skewing all of this.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, you know, if I don't look at the top 5 people owe me money, maybe the top 10, we can do that. And again, we can get rid of Potter's Planting, like Seth said. I can just go to the legend, turn them off. We're going to recalculate and see how losing that customer impacts our entire portfolio. And again, if we want to use that into another report or just use it independently, these 3 lines give us a lot of options on what to do with that. Back to Word. If I print this or copy and paste like we've done, you notice I had highlighted, copied. I can just paste it in. And it's going to look just like it did on the actual Finagraph report. So formatting's already done for you. It's easy to put in. Then you can put your narrative around it, or use the numbers in Excel to do other calculations. Okay, so last thing I'll show you, Seth, is that shareable link. And the reason I like the shareable link is because rather than add somebody as a user, you can just create a shareable link. Yeah, we'll go to your company again. And I can send this out to you, and you can forward it around if you'd like. I'm going to create a read-only version of this report, which means you can just click on the link, see the report, interact with it the same way that I've done already, but you don't have to log in. And I can expire it. So if I create a shareable link, I can say everybody that's on the call today gets a shareable link, but you can only see it until March 20th. Now, this is important. I mean, I've got accountants that use it like in between board meetings. They always want to give their board members the most up-to-date information, so they actually expire it in between the board meeting time and then produce a new shareable link after the new Finagraph. Or I've seen people use it when people are buying companies or looking to buy it, and they want to give them a packet of information to look at. But here they are. They can just send them a shareable link. And it expired in 2 weeks, and that way they can keep control of their data. So, Seth, I'll send that to you. You can kind of share it around, or I guess I can put it out on. How would I put this out on the on chat, and people can have it?
If you move your mouse to the left, you'll see the chat feature come up. It's a little blue and white icon. It should be one of the top ones, if not the top one.
Yeah, I don't get that anymore after I did the sharing.
All right, so just paste it to paste it into the Word document, and then you can share it in the chat when you turn off the screen sharing.
Okay. Well, I don't think I have to do. I've copied it onto. I've got it. All right, so I can do that. That's really what I wanted to show. That's a Finagraph. I'm more than happy to take questions and turn it back over to you, Seth.
Okay, so questions, and then also Mariette was very, very, very anxious to learn more about the certification.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so what we've done, and I will get to our page. I think I've stopped sharing now all of a sudden. Yeah,
now we're looking at you.
You're looking at me? Okay.
Yeah, and now if you move your mouse over to the left, you'll see a little chat thing. It's a little blue and white icon. It's if you want to paste that link in. And then once you paste that link in the chat, I will in turn share it on the Google Plus event page and in our ABO group.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so into the chat, and here it goes. Okay, and the other link I'm going to put in there is to our FCA program, which is Finagraph Certified Advisor. And what we've done is create, I mean, it's a 20-question test, but you, for your company, get a free account for one business in your account, your business, and then you refer your business owners at a reduced rate. And right now, that reduced rate on the Finagraph Certified Advisor program is $29 a month. Your business owner pays that, and then you earn rewards up to, including iPad Minis or $1,000 in cash, or an Amazon card, or different things. We've got a textbook from our school, and we've got a banking school where we teach people how to deal with their banker. We actually teach bankers how to deal with business owners. So those are the type of things that you can do, and the reward for that is free account, Mariette. That's what it is. It's a 20-question test, and I tell you, a lot of the answers to the test we went over right here in the demo, but there's a lot of resources in case it is about product knowledge and something about being able to interpret the data as well. Knowing what how to impact people's cash. So
what's the monthly rate? I thought it was around $100 a month, and I was kind of reluctant on that. You said $29.95. Is that?
Well, that's what each of your businesses would pay. You would pay $0, and they would pay me $29. Now, the $99 a month is your account, and you're certified, and you get a badge, and you get listed in our Find an Advisor page, which is helping you market. We've also got some things that we're rolling out in March, like a social media day. By adding businesses on your FCA account, the first businesses, we're going to do a social media day for your business, right? You're going to have my marketing team. We're going to tweet and LinkedIn and write a blog post about your business. After you add the second business, I'm going to do a 30-minute webinar on content for your clients, right? Where you and I host it. You act as a paid sponsor, but we're going to give it to you for free, and actually teach content about interpreting data or being able to turn ratios into actions in your business, and we're going to give that to you for free and promote it to your clients only.
Well, what was the $99 a month?
The $99 a month, and we actually have a special rate for School of Bookkeeping folks that's actually better than that, but $99 a month is unlimited for you, which means you can charge over the top to your clients. So if you've got 10 clients, your $99 a month is $9 a client. Perhaps you charge them an hour for your advice each month. I don't know if it's $100 to $80. I don't know what your hourly rate is, but there's an opportunity for you to make more money using our product by buying the unlimited version. Now,
and by the way, what I've seen a lot of people do, which is very useful for pricing-wise on these kinds of things, especially if you're interested in making the move towards value pricing, what a lot of people do is they build in a fee into their fee structure. A lot of times I've seen it called a data fee. And that fee is designed to include all the apps that they're using for their clients. So you could include Finagraph, Bill.com, the monthly cost of the accounting software, whether it's Xero or QuickBooks Online, all that gets built in, and you charge them like $200 a month, let's say, or maybe it's just $100 a month. Because as Mike just pointed out, the more clients you have on this, if you're paying the $99 a month, the more it scales down on a per client basis. I mean, we're all numbers people here, so that should be pretty easy.
Right.
But that's the way I would recommend you do it, is just build it in as part of a flat monthly fee that you charge your clients for all data type stuff.
Right.
I have a question.
Sure.
I understand the desire to keep it really simple. So I assume that when it reads the QuickBooks data, it's taken into account the type of general ledger account. For instance, accounts receivable is a special type in QuickBooks, so it knows which accounts are accounts receivable, it knows what are income accounts, etc. But what about the clients where maybe we have an add-on product or subsidiary information and we're doing journal entries or some other method into, like I have a lot of clients who their inventory accounts are really just other asset accounts or current asset accounts. Is there a way to map if we need to, if QuickBooks isn't set up the way you need it?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, we look at it two different ways. We start at the type of account, so if you're an other current asset, that's one thing. But then we start reading the language that you use in the actual line, right? The actual, what you've called it. If you called it inventory asset, what's that? The name of the account, that's right.
Name of the account. So if I have an account, other current asset that's named inventory.
That's right. We're looking for those things as well and being able to map those for you already. And then in the next feature, when I talk about that spring release where you're going to be able to do those what-if scenarios, the what-if scenarios are also going to help us do more dynamic mapping, which means when you make a change, we're going to remember that change for the next time you import information and go ahead and make that calculation for you.
Okay.
So
I think that's why I hesitated when I first looked at it after Sleater that year. Was I didn't think that I could, because some of us are pretty creative in our charts.
Sure.
And then the other is it just QuickBooks, or is your program just designed for QuickBooks, or because I do a lot of consolidations of like 3 QuickBooks files into Excel, and I would love to have all these graphs based on Excel.
Matter of fact, we do have an Excel importer right now. We haven't released it, but it's done. We did it for Experian and Moody's as part of our large bank integration, because all of the stuff that comes out of those banking products comes out in Excel. So we've now learned how to read Excel files, and we're going to produce the template back to you.
You can do it the other way.
So we can do it the other way now, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. I'd like to keep up with that, yeah.
Yeah, so and that's done. I mean, matter of fact, the architect, we had to high five in the hallway yesterday because he was really excited about what he was doing.
I can do graphs and things like that in Excel, and it takes it just takes so much time. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we're gonna have it to where it's one button. Upload your Excel file, and we'll be able to read it.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other question? I think look, just kind of scrolling up. I think Dennis had one about using a sample company. We actually put a sample company file in every subscription for that purpose. Meaning, if you're trying to prospect, just use our file, saying, "I don't know what your current bookkeeper does for you or accountant does for you, but here's what I do for my clients," and show them the features on the sample file. And the close is, "Would you like to see what you look like?" Right, and then on the spot you can ask them to produce their own documents, so you can talk to them about specifics in their company.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you have a mobile app?
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
Not mobile just yet, but I mean, as long as you got an internet connection. I mean, we work Surface, iPads, laptops. Some people I've seen put the actual. You guys know how to create the icon on your home screen from an actual web page.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I knew that. So it acts like an app. Yeah, we don't have the actual app done yet, but we're starting to draw it up.
And by the way, I should point out here that both EAs and CPAs can use Finagraph. I'm just saying.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we're
plain old public accountants.
Right. Yeah, we don't discriminate against any of them.
How about Peter's?
No, don't give it to Peter's.
Well, PETAs can probably use Finagraph to become more of a PETA with their clients when they show them, look, this is stuff you need to look at.
Right.
Well, I clicked on your link where you shared the Finagraph, and it's beautiful. I like the idea of, closing out a quarter or whatever, and then emailing it to all the board members. And
yeah.
By the way, Mike, for some reason the metadata for the link, when I posted it in Facebook, says, sorry, we couldn't talk to the server, but rest assured, everyone, if you click on it, you'll see it.
Okay.
Mike, I have a question.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Mike. So I'm still, are you still using Intuit Sync Manager? How do you sync to QuickBooks Desktop?
Well, we've never used Sync Manager. It's always the SDK. I mean, we've built our own. Actually, we just talked to the SDK, and we've built our own linking tool that really bypasses it. I mean, that's how we can do it so quickly. We're not gathering the whole file. We're only gathering the specific items that we need.
So
can I go? Sorry.
Can I kind of see though because I saw the little permission window, but how do you actually do the connection? Did you just search for the company? How did you do that?
Well,
you have to have the company open.
Yeah, on the desktop version, it's the company that's open. In the online version, if you have a multiple companies in online, it will ask you to select one. Which company do you want to analyze?
Okay. Okay, so you don't use Sync Manager. That's awesome. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah,
okay.
No, it's the gold standard for syncing to QuickBooks. It's so much better than Sync Manager or Web Connector.
But for QBO, is it in the App Store, or is it something that you go to Finagraph to get?
Yeah, almost. I mean, right now you got to go to Finagraph. We just got approved to be a partner, I guess, for the App Store. So we're building that integration. It's actually second on the list. We've got the Moody's Baker Hill integration, and then apps.com.
How about Xero? Are you one of Xero's apps? I mean, can you get it to Xero where you go to Zero, they have all these apps that are listed. Are you listed with them?
Yeah, no. I mean, again, we connect with Zero. We were still in beta, and before we release anything to the App Store, we want to make sure it works and people are happy with it, because people like to give reviews.
Yeah.
so we want to make sure it's good.
If it's SDK, it has to be loaded on the same drive as the QuickBooks program. So if I go to a client, I'd have to put like their data file on my laptop, or in order to do it in front of them.
Well, they can actually do the upload right from their computer, and then you could see it on your laptop. So when you add somebody as a user, you can give that business owner right permission and say, hey, listen, just click the, have your QuickBooks file open on your desk. You can click the button yourself, and we can both see it on our separate screens.
Right, but I'm saying if I'm trying to sell a new service and give them a sample with their own data, I wouldn't want to set them up as a user. I'd have to pay for them right out of the box, right?
No, you don't. Well, you don't pay for business owners, right? If you have an unlimited account for yourself, the $99, it doesn't matter, right? You can add as many businesses as you like.
So on their machine, I'd log in as me.
No, from your machine, you would send them an add user email, right? So you would add them on your machine, on your Surface, we'll say, and you put in their company name, their zip code, and their NICS code, and then the next screen that pops up is add users. On the top portion of it, where we'll say it's ABC Auto Repair, you're going to add a user to ABC Auto Repair, and it will be Mr. CEO. And Mr. CEO at abcautorepair.com gets an email where he can log in, and then you can say, hey, listen, all you have to do is select your accounting system and press link to Finagraph. So he can do it right there on the spot.
What if you're just starting out and you've got one client you want to put on, but you don't want to commit to the $99 a month? Can you still do it that way and have access to their file, or how would that work?
You know what, Dennis? That's an awesome question, and here's what I've been suggesting to people lately. Just do the 14-day free trial. When you're doing your tax returns, print out a Finagraph for all of them, right, and lay it over the top and say, hey, listen, when I did your tax return, I also did some analysis. We need to talk about this. And then you can set up sales appointments, to talk about some of the flags that come up in their analysis. So use the 14 free day, free trial, and do all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's a brilliant way to do it. I mean, that's the power of this, is it's so cool, and it's such clean information that's easy to follow and understand what it's telling you at a very top level with all the detail. Like, I love the way you can play around with the graphs right there on the fly, but to print something like that out and include it with the tax return is just, you probably don't even have to say anything, just include it, and you're going to get people coming back to you going, what is this? This is cool, It'll basically create the inbound marketing for you for this.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a question. So, again, I guess I'm a little confused. So, I kind of just jumping on what Sarah was saying. So, we just have to act like we are the client on their computer by calling them and say, click on connect to Finagraph, and then that's how everything gets pushed up. They have to physically sync to Finagraph from their live file, correct?
Yeah, if you guys
have a copy of their file that you're using to do their taxes, you could link Finagraph on your own computer to QuickBooks and just to create.
I'm looking at it more like a monthly financial analysis. Like, for instance, if I do this monthly, I can have them push to Finagraph, and then I can do this through my meeting that I do every month. But someone has to physically connect to Finagraph for that data to get pushed up, right?
For desktop, yeah. But if you're using QBox, then you've got it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. QBox is my solution here. Yeah.
Well, on the desktop, here's how bankers do it, right? They'll send a reminder email every month or every quarter saying, hey, don't forget to upload your Finagraph. And, the people log in, they press the button, new Finagraph, and both parties can see it. Okay. So, I mean, it becomes pretty easy.
We got to wrap up here, folks, but any quick last-minute burning desire questions?
EA's rock! EA's rock! I'm an EA. I rock!
Any ETA on the Excel import feature? You've got an ETA on the Excel import feature?
I'll find out today. Again, we were just high-fiving about it being awesome yesterday. So,
I love that.
Maybe you need a beta has it been tested? I mean, is that
do you
the
want to
next
test
step,
it?
or sure?
Yeah, do you want to test it? All right, shoot me your email and all that, and I'll get you in line to test it.
Beautiful. All right, folks, the Finagraph course is going to be out in a few weeks, I believe. Certainly by the end of March, for sure. It's next on our production line to get it done. So next week, Expensify goes live, and we have Expensify on next Friday's Hangout. So we'll see you next Friday. We'll be looking at Expensify, looking at expense reports that don't suck. And now we've just seen Finagraph for financial intelligence that doesn't suck. So thank you, Mike. I appreciate you taking the time to come out and show it to us. I can't wait to get this course up. I think it's going to be amazing in terms of being able to show people a really powerful tool that's really going to enable you to add tremendous value to the services that you offer your clients. And if you have any more questions, just reach out to Mike or comment right there on the Google Plus event page, and we will see you all next week on Friday for Expensify.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
All right. Bye-bye.